Today is Monday, Parashat Devarim. This coming Shabbat, we're starting a new book of the Torah, the book of Devarim. The first pasuk, Ele Devarim asher diber Moshe el kol Yisrael be'eber Yarden. These are the words that Moshe spoke to all Am Yisrael in Ever Yarden, Bamidbar, in the desert, Ba'arava, in the Arava, Molsuv, Ben Paran, Ben Tofel, Belavan, V'Hatzerot, V'Dizav. So today we'll explain these names of places according to Rabbi Yaakov Avichserad, Abir Yaakov, who takes each one of these locations that are mentioned here in this pasuk as an indication from Moshe Rabbeinu, a sort of instruction before he passes away, because he started this discourse, this speech, so to speak, on the first day of Shvat, and he spoke all the way until the seventh day of Adar, when he passed away for 5 weeks. And the names of the places, according to the Abir Yaakov, actually are instructions, directives for Am Yisrael, how to lead, fulfill the proper life. So, but Midbar, first thing, Midbar is desert, but Abir Yaakov says that the Midbar refers to the word Dibur in Hebrew, which means speech. So number one, make sure that you keep purity of speech, not to speak things that are improper, no idle talk, no speaking of Lashon Hara. Being very careful with the speech is the first instruction that he gives them. Ba'arava, it's a place called Arava, but Arava also refers to something that is pleasant. Arev means pleasant. So be careful with the pleasures, the physical, material pleasures of life. Do not be distracted and attracted by them. The Yetzer Hara can many times tempt us with all sorts of improper pleasures, and therefore that's one thing you be careful with. So the first thing was Dibur. Second thing is Aravat. Be careful with those pleasures. Molsuf, facing Suf in the place Suf, but he says Molsuf has to do with to always think that Hashem is in front of you, who knows everything, what will be the sof, what will be the end. Or, the other explanation he gives, anytime you want to do something, think of the consequences of your action. So be careful with your speech, be careful not to be tempted by the pleasures of life. And number three, always think about the consequences of your actions. Ben Paran u Ben Tofel, here gives a little bit more involved explanation. When you're involved in your family life, you have to be doing it for the pure sake of raising a family, and to separate that from Tofel, which would be a kind of an approach that would be more profane in terms of these type of things. Velavan v'chatzerot velavan. What is Lavan? Lavan, that your speech and your heart should be equal. In other words, lo echad bapeh ve'echad balev, that you should be truthful. V'chatzerot. What is Chatzerot? Chatzerot is the courtyards, but actually it refers to Bate Knesiot, to Bate Midrashot, to synagogues and places of learning Torah. So dedicate time for that. That should be an important part of every person's life. Vedi Zahav, Zahav means gold. Diwan is enough. In other words, to be satisfied with what Hashem granted you. Of course, it's okay to have an amount of ambition, but not to be so involved in chasing after the gold and chasing after it, so it becomes an all-engrossing thing, but rather days have to be happy and satisfied with what Hashem grants you. So this is the approach of Rabbi Yaakov Avichserad as he explains this first pasuk in the Parashah that we'll read this coming Shabbat. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.